happy birthday to us. It is our Sweet 16 when it comes to the podcast. And by that, I mean it's episode 16, Jacob. We made it to the Sweet 16.
I think humans are most powerful when they're 16 years old.
That was not what I was expecting you to say. Why are we? So we're past the prime of our lives already?
Oh, 100%.
By 6 years, nonetheless.
I think, oh my God, 6 years. It's been 6 years since I was 16.
And
I've looked exactly the same.
You think sophomores to juniors in high school are the most powerful of us?
Yes.
Defend yourself.
I just think 16 is such a classic year in pop culture. And I think that because of that, like subconsciously, you just think you are the center of the earth when you're 16. And therefore, because you're so overly confident that you are the center of the earth, that makes you the center of the earth.
I don't think that's how that works.
Well, that's my opinion.
I don't think if I was...
And you know what, Kyle? Every time I say something and I say, this is probably how this works, you're like, I don't think how that works.
Yeah, because I can come up with a million counterexamples.
You don't say, I don't think how that works.
I'm not going to let you fix your English. I'm going to just start refuting you. If I am overly confident that I can fly,
right?
If I jump off a building, that won't be true just because I'm overly confident. That's not the way the world works, especially not when you're 16. You're wrong about everything when you're 16. If you're listen to me. If you're 16 and you're having arguments with your parents, most likely you are wrong about whatever you're arguing about. You're probably going to be wrong about a lot of stuff. You'll figure that out as you get older. I just want you to know that now. You're probably wrong about a lot that you don't realize.
The fact that you're so defiant right now about 16-year-olds. By the way, I'm not obsessed with 16-year-olds.
Let's get that out of the way. Jacob's not a pedophile.
I'm just saying 16-year-olds are powerful and they're scary.
They're certainly... No, you know what? No, they're not scary. They're not scary. They're having a tough time in geometry, and that's not scary to me. That they're just that they're just having troubles in school.
Triangles are scary, Kyle.
They're the pointiest of shapes.
No, that's not true. If you're counting how many points they have, it's definitely not true.
Yeah, but like if you looked at the point individually, a triangle's point would be pointier than like a square's point. It's pointier.
No.
Okay. Now let me ask you this then.
Cool.
Put yourself in a 16-year-old shoes. You're 16 again.
Okay. I look exactly the same.
Uh-huh. How many kindergartners do you think you could take in a fight?
If I'm 16?
Yes. You're 16 years old. And let's even assume they're not all coming at you at once. Each kindergartner, one by one. How many do you think you can take before you are just too tired, or do you think you could just go pretty much forever?
Well, the thing is, 16-year-olds have like secret innate abilities.
No, they don't, Jacob.
So if I draw in all of my chakras and and my chi and become the...
You forgot your feng shui.
Feng shui is a bit different. That comes whenever you're decorating. I was
going to say with your home decor.
Yeah, when you're with your room, like your One Direction posters and stuff like that. Like that's your feng shui, and that's also a reason why 16-year-olds are powerful.
Because they have so much feng shui.
Exactly, but if I absorb all the light energy around me and I'm 16 years old and I use like my Super Saiyan abilities,
power of the sun.
Yeah. I could probably take like 4 to 5 million. 6 on like a super good day. But 4 to 5 million, I mean solidly, yeah, like 100%. If I was 16. Now, if I was like 17, maybe 4. For children, like not like 4 million. 4.
Jacob, this is a revelation to me that you just appear to think that 16-year-olds just have this innate ability to rule the world and none of them know it.
Yeah, it's true. I did it once. I was the
Oh, is that
king.
so?
Yeah, I was the king of the world when I was 16. So if you guys, hit me up. Hit me up.
For what? You're not king of the world anymore.
I'm not. I was dethroned by another 16-year-old. So if you want to be king of the world and you're 16,
well, you seem to be in the know of this universe. Who is king of the world now?
I don't know. It's been 6 years. Every year it has to be a 16-year-old who's on the throne.
Right, but you apparently know about this throne. None of us do, so you should still know about what's going on in the throne room.
So the thing is, right, whenever you're 16 and then you turn 17 and you're dethroned, you're cast out. So you're no longer a part of that society.
Right.
So you're and you no longer have the abilities of the 16-year-olds. So you're just completely cast out. I know the guy who took my place. And it just so happened to be a girl. I said guy, but it's a girl. Took my place as king of the world.
The queen of the world.
She's king. I don't know why this is going so far.
We're here to expose the inner workings of the universe and why the world revolves.
You ever heard of Illuminati? That's what that is.
That was her name.
It's just 16-year-olds.
Oh, so it's not the celebrities.
No.
That they're not lizard people or part of the Illuminati.
Nope.
They don't run New York City from underground. All of the Illuminati is 16-year-olds.
That's all it is. Just 16-year-olds. If you're ever suspicious of a 16-year-old, you're probably right.
So then who started the Illuminati?
So it started, this whole conversation started with a Sweet 16 episode.
So wait, are we, by the transitive property of power, do we have power because our podcast is in its 16?
For the next 43 minutes, yeah.
Okay. Well, technically it's not 16 years old. It's 16 episodes old. Does that still count?
No. Then you know what? Then I think, it probably doesn't count. When we're in our 16th year of this podcast, we'll have 1 year of ultimate power, and then we can assume the role of king. I'll be king. You can be like a prince.
I think we'll probably switch those roles, but we'll cross that bridge when we get to it.
16 years, we'll have time to talk about it, flesh it out.
Can you imagine if we were still doing this 16 years from now?
Dude, that'd be great. I'd be content.
What would we talk about? we'd have run out of things.
We would do DreamWorks versus Pixar 7. Still
70.
Still fighting about that. 16 years now. How old would we be in 16 years?
In 16 years, I'll be 38.
Dude, we'll be president by then, so like it won't.
Oh,
even
right.
matter.
We'll have already taken office. That's right.
So we'll either be too busy for the podcast, or we'll have presidential stuff to talk about on the podcast.
We can come back afterwards. Obama has a podcast now, so we can do the podcast thing after our presidency.
Obama has a podcast?
Yeah, he has.
What are we doing?
I keep getting ads for it.
Why are we competing with Obama?
I don't know. I keep getting ads for it. It's him and some dude, and I honestly I watch like 5 seconds of the ad and I skip it. But I know he has a podcast. That's about all I know.
I kind of want to listen to Obama's podcast. I like his voice.
He does have a nice voice. It's very soothing.
A very nice voice. So all that to say, 16 episodes, Sweet 16. Thank you guys for making this possible.
We're almost at 20. We're closing in.
Yeah, I'm really excited for like the 52nd episode or like 1 year of Milk and Screams. That's gonna be fun.
Right. The 1 year, well, because of that break we took at winter, it'll be a little less than 52 once we get to 1 year.
Right.
But I mean, we'll get to 1 year eventually.
Yeah. Yeah, that's I'm super hopeful and excited for this, and I'm happy we've at least made it to 16. That's pretty dope. But today we're gonna talk about something that came up in my mind recently.
Yeah, it kind of came out of nowhere, and I was like, sure, we could talk about that, I guess.
It's something that I subconsciously think about a lot, but not like I never give it like a full fleshed out conversation. But it's something I catch myself doing very, very, very often, and that's apologizing. Yeah.
So why has it been on your mind? Did something happen recently that you thought maybe you shouldn't have apologized, or maybe you should have and you didn't?
Well, here's the thing. So in media, and so in social media especially, the way it goes normally is somebody digs up your past and then finds something shady, and then they say, hey, look at this guy, he did this, however many years ago maybe, or even if it's recent, right? He did this. And then normally that person will immediately get that notification, talk to his PR team and be like, hey, I'm sorry, it was inexcusable, and then yada yada yada,
Right.
So basically, in this episode, I kind of want to just talk about different types of apologies. Like, do I think that every apology made on social media is meaningful? Probably not.
Absolutely not. There's no way.
And it's hard to tell when someone's being genuine when
It's
they apologize.
incredibly hard, especially because we've moved in that past however many years in media, specifically with celebrities and A-listers, B-listers, what have you. A lot of apologies have resorted to either a YouTube video, or I would say even more frequently a tweet,
or like a notes app thing where they're like this type
where
of
they write more
paragraph.
than they're allowed to in a tweet.
Yeah.
So it's very hard to tell when someone's being genuine.
I mean, I don't know, like that specifically, and then you have other people, right? Something that's going on right now is with David Dobrik. Some of you guys who are listening might not be completely familiar with David Dobrik, but he's a vlogger on YouTube. He's actually like our age. He's like, I think he's 23 or 24.
I think maybe even younger. I'm not sure.
But he's super successful. He has his own TV show. I mean, he's actually been on a couple of TV shows now. He's been trying to integrate himself in more Hollywood stuff, but he's ultra famous and ultra popular on YouTube.
He will be 25 in July.
No way.
He's 24 currently. Yeah.
25. I mean, I keep thinking 25 is like, oh, that's like a grown up, but we're like 2 years away from that.
Yeah, that's my older brother's age. He'll be 25 in May.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. So David Dobrik, he is notorious for whenever he gets canceled for something, not bringing it up,
just ignoring it,
and kind of shoving it to the side. And something has come to light recently that's kind of troubling, about like some sexual assault allegations that are it toes the line, and it's coming up years later, so it's kind of like, and the thing is, it's on video. He vlogs like everything, so it's all about how you look at it and how you look at sexual harassment in general, how you look at
right.
sexual harassment from male perspective.
And for the record, if you're not familiar with the situation, he himself didn't like force himself on a man or a woman,
no,
or anything. Otherwise, I think he would be addressing this more directly. But that's not the sexual harassment situation that's happening.
Apparently, David Dobrik pulled a prank on a member of his cast, which is
the Vlog Squad.
The Vlog Squad. Where it was a kissing prank. So the first time he pulled a prank on this guy, he told him, "Hey, you're gonna be, we're gonna do a video, and you're gonna be kissing Corinna, this really really hot girl, but you're gonna be kissing her while she's wearing this old man mask, so it looks like she's an old man, and you're gonna be blindfolded." And he was like, "Okay, cool, I'll do it for the video." I think this was his inaugural video, like his first video. So he gets prepared for the shot or whatever in the house, and lo and behold, it turns out it was instead of Corinna in the old man mask, it was Jason, who was a 40-year-old man at the time. So without his consent and everything, it was a prank. That was the whole idea. But it's like tongue in cheek, and it seemed like he was even in on it during that first video, but. There obviously are different red flags, like David himself admitting, like, yeah, that prank was, real or whatnot. And Jason being like, it was good to have you, in the video. Welcome to the Vlog Squad. Like, this is like his like hazing almost, like to get into like a fraternity or something like that. Like, either way you want to look at it, whether he's a good sport about it or not, it still is towing the line between sexual harassment. So the reason why this is coming to the news now is because this guy has been a part of that prank again, but the second time David quote unquote asked for his consent, which is again up to your discretion on what consent is, as far as a prank with a 40-year-old man making out with you for however long, and shortly after that, or within a few months after that, did a few more videos, but then inevitably left the Vlog Squad, and has since reflected on those pranks and thought, well, why was I targeted this way? He also happens to be a black man, so there's this, as time went on, he started thinking about it more and came out and was like, hey, I think I was, he called a sexual harassment hotline, and they were like, yeah, that's definitely what qualifies as sexual harassment. So he contacted David. David ignored him. He came to social media and did everything. And of course, this guy, it's kind of hard to tell if he's actually being genuine or if he just wants, clout or whatever. People are taking it very seriously. And David has refused to address it. So in my eyes, this whole situation, my question is, if David apologizes, does it go away? Right? Because in my eyes, I'm like, hey, just apologize. Just say, hey, you know what? We were wrong. We were stupid. We were being dumb. And that was horrible to do to you. And we're sorry. And we want to compensate you or take down the video, which I'm sure he has taken down the video by now because that's just a bad video to have
Right.
up. But, he made money off of someone else's discomfort and, harassment. So either way, it's wrong. So you should apologize. But does David apologizing make it better? And if David apologizes, does he have to accept his apology? And would that make him feel better?
I think, that is up to Seth himself, whether David apologizing makes this go away.
Yeah, because if not for the apology, what else is Seth doing it for? Is he doing it just to crush David? Which, to make sense.
I also... people are skeptical of people that come out with sexual harassment allegations because money is always involved.
Yeah.
And obviously, if you're going to try and get into it with David Dobrik, you'll probably get some money out of it. So people are skeptical of that as well.
Right.
Yeah, I'm not... It's difficult because if Seth is, in fact, being genuine about this situation, then I guess the reasoning for him is awareness to the fact, just awareness as to what happened.
Yeah.
I don't, if he's being genuine, I don't think that he would be looking to get something out of it for himself. I think he would be looking to take someone down that he felt wronged him.
Yeah.
Not in a vengeful way, just in a, this person doesn't deserve the platform that they have way.
Right. But yeah, like saying I'm sorry doesn't make anything go away. And I feel like we're all kind of taught, if you do something wrong to somebody, if you hurt them, you're to apologize. But
Yeah.
it doesn't do anything. It remedies it in your mind and corrects it.
Again, this also depends on who you're apologizing to, because the apology itself doesn't make anything go away. The person's forgiveness on the other side makes it go away.
And with I guess the apology insinuates, the asking for forgiveness.
Right. And more importantly, for the apology, if you're apologizing for yourself, then don't apologize.
True.
Apologize for the person. Like your parents would always say it when you were little, don't say sorry if you don't mean it. Like you hit your brother and you say sorry. I'm sorry. You didn't mean that. That sort of thing. Apologies are not meant for yourself to feel better. Yeah. You will feel better if the apology is for the person and not yourself anyway.
Yeah.
Apologies are supposed to be selfless.
I think there should be different words for different levels of apology, because I say all this to say this. I apologize way too much. I say I'm sorry probably 50 billion times a day.
And I think English is one of those languages that doesn't have different ways. We say things like, excuse me, when you bump into a person. And sometimes you bump into someone, you're like, sorry.
Yeah, I say that all the time. Or even if it's not my fault, I'm sorry. What if you know what I mean? How do I verbally process empathy for somebody if they're like, oh, this is this? I'm like, oh, I'm sorry. It wasn't my fault. I've read articles that talk about if you apologize for things that aren't your fault, people often think less of you. Well, if that's the case, then I've apologized way too much, and people probably think I'm, the puniest little ant. I just think that we either need to stop apologizing so much and stop expecting apologies from people, or we need to come up with some new words, because I'm sorry rarely ever cuts it.
Yeah,
because when you're apologizing for sexual harassment, Lord, like, what are you like? How are you supposed to articulate that? And like I said, articulating that doesn't doesn't mean you just deserve forgiveness. You've at least tried to remedy it, but it doesn't mean you deserve it. And you might not get it.
Apologies are also always, not always, but especially in the public space with these celebrities, are always preceded or followed up by a big long speech.
Yeah.
Just a whole lot of words to say, my actions were dreadful. I'm working on myself. I'm becoming a better person. I'm learning. I was ignorant that this word was hurtful, and I'm learning. And I'm being taught by this person, and I'm a different person than I was. I didn't know. That's not how I was brought up. No one told me.
Yeah.
So apologies are often filled with excuses. That's what I'm getting at.
You know what's funny too?
And that really annoys me when apologies are filled with excuses.
Yeah.
Because I think that's how my mind determines whether someone's being genuine or not. If I could read the same paragraph from two different people, or like I could watch two different people say the same thing, and I might feel that one is saying something more genuinely than someone else. And the person I see saying something more genuine, it feels like they're giving reasons as to why they're sorry. And the person that doesn't feel genuine, it feels like they're giving excuses. And they feel like the same thing, except for how genuine the person is. Like when it feels to me that this person is giving reasons as to why they're sorry and reasons as to why what happened, I think, good apology, this person is trying to be better. But when I don't have that gut feeling of genuineness, it sounds like excuses, and I get really mad. It's a gut feeling.
Yeah.
Especially when you're not the person receiving the apology, at least, and you're watching people give apologies, it's a very gut feeling of whether they're genuine or not. Because I think if you're receiving the apology, 9 times out of 10, it's a person that you know that's apologizing for something that happened in your life. And it's a person you may have most likely also considered a friend, or at least an acquaintance that you know, and it's easier to tell whether they're being genuine or not.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree with that. I was about to say, you know what's funny also? Like, why should we have to apologize? Because if you think about it, all of us in total are not perfect.
It's impossible.
It's impossible to be perfect, and it's impossible to expect someone to be perfect.
Right.
Now, that doesn't mean...
do whatever you want because you can't be perfect, so might as well lean into it.
Right. 'Cause I think about Rhett and Link, two very prominent people on the internet who have been internet-tainers, for lack of a better word, for the better part of a decade and a half.
Yeah.
I mean, they've been doing this like almost their entire adult lives, and have come into very, very, very seldom scandals or anything that they've had to apologize for.
They don't come under fire, really, ever.
And they're just great people. But they're very obviously not perfect. They may seem that way, but they're not. So either they're not being scrutinized enough, or they're really good at hiding their stuff, or they're just really good people.
They're just genuine people who, of course, make mistakes, but do so within the context of their own personal lives.
Yeah.
And they're not mistakes that warrant public apologies because they were outright racist in a public place or something.
Yeah.
Like that's just not the people that they are.
Right. So in that frame of mind, right, when I'm thinking of like people who never have to apologize because they're good, Rhett and Link, I think to myself, well, I tend to think of myself in that echelon, right? I am nice to people, I'm this, that, and the other. I'm not racist, all this stuff. So I'm like, well, why do I apologize so much then? Like, why do I insist on using those two words the most? Like, when I bump into somebody, there's not really a word to use besides excuse me. I say pardon me, or I say I'm sorry.
Yeah.
You
and
know?
honestly, we could probably cut that out of the whole apology category.
Yeah, that's not really an apology, but like,
it's interesting to talk about when it's not your fault and you still say I'm sorry.
Yeah,
that's interesting to talk about. But in terms of like I was looking at something behind me, like I rubbernecked and I bumped into someone. I'm sorry. And then the guy was probably like, all right.
Because even I hate when I'm being apologized to whenever I'm telling them, like, if I was telling them, like, oh, yeah, I hurt my toe, doing something or whatever, I cut my finger. They're like, I'm sorry. I'm like, you know what? You weren't there holding the knife against my finger when I was cutting chicken or whatever.
That would have been weird.
So it would have been weird. And like, if you were there and then you cut my finger and then you were like, I'm sorry, that would make sense.
Yeah.
But since you're here listening to me tell the story of this a couple days later, and you asked me why I have a Band-Aid on my finger, and I was like, oh, I cut my finger with a knife.
That was great.
And then you say, I'm sorry. That makes me go, hey, shut up. I don't want to hear that. Say something else. But what else is there to say? There's no phrase to say, I empathize. Oh, man. You know what I mean?
When it comes to an example like that, and I was thinking about this as well.
Yeah.
When it comes to an example like that, I walk in a group of friends that, sorry I'm late. I was closing the door on the way out, and I jammed my finger in the door, so I had to ice it for a little bit and put a Band-Aid or something. And they're like, oh, I'm sorry, that sucks. I I guess I would probably more prefer that sucks.
Because they're not sorry, right? They're not like, oh man, like, I like, unless it's something serious.
And that's what I'm getting to. It depends on the severity of the situation.
Right.
Because your question being what else is there to say, it depends on the severity of the situation. Because when someone is venting about something really hurtful in their personal lives, maybe not on a physical level, but they're just going through something, then really a lot of times it is better to just not have anything to say and to just sit and listen. That's typically more appreciated than going, oh, I'm sorry. Oh, I can't imagine. Oh, I know what you're going through. A lot of times, no, you don't.
True.
You probably don't. Just sit and listen. Let them talk.
Yeah, a lot of people need someone to listen, but there should be a phrase or because here's the thing. If you're going to use I'm sorry for apologizing when you've done something wrong, and then you're also going to use that same phrase for showing empathy to somebody. Am I using the right word, empathy?
As in
what we were just describing there with
empathizing with a person.
Empathizing, or is it sympathy that I'm thinking of?
I mean,
because there are two different things, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Empathy is the word you're looking for when we're talking about listening and trying to understand a person's pain.
And be there for them.
And be there for them.
Okay.
Sympathy is kind of more just kind of feeling sorry for the person. Empathy is really trying to understand the person's pain and be there with them and for them.
Gotcha. So when you're showing empathy to someone, there should be a phrase like, not I'm sorry, because that's not the same thing. I feel like that happened probably like the last 50 years. Some people just started saying I'm sorry.
I think
in the wrong place.
I think the phrase is, and I think the phrase would just be I'm here for you.
Yeah, but
or let's go get ice cream and take our mind off of this for a while.
What if there's no ice cream around though? Like, what if
let's go get any other treat that exists and take our mind off of this for a while?
Should we apologize? Like in reality.
And people have the same.
Like, should we just be forgiving? Should we even have to apologize? Should we just be more forgiving?
And that's the thing, is that the apologizing, its purpose is to invoke forgiveness out of whoever you're apologizing. Not to try and provoke them into forgiving you, but just to say, maybe you weren't thinking about forgiving me. Here's an apology. Consider forgiving me.
Right.
Because I'm trying to be genuine about this, and I want this relationship to stay intact.
Because you feel grief. You feel like, not grief, but you feel, for lack of a better word, sorry. You feel shame. You feel those kinds of things, and those things drive you to want to reconcile with that person.
Right.
So, like, in that case, yeah, but like, if you don't feel those things, should you apologize? Let's say you feel like you're in the right, should you just apologize and then let that other person feel better and forgive you? And
I bet that is a driving question of couples therapy. I bet that is just a number one question for husband and wife. They got into argument and husband thinks he's right, wife thinks that she's right, and they go to couples therapy. And the therapist asked the husband, do you think you're right about this? And he says, yeah. And he asks the wife, do you think you're right about this? And she says, of course I think I'm right about this. And then he says, does it matter if one of you is wrong about this? Can one of you let go of your pride and say, you know what, I was wrong. Let's say that you were right. And this relationship is going to stay fine. Depending on the severity of the situation or whatever the argument is. But a lot of the times,
like pecan and pecan.
Of course, a lot of the times it's just a pride thing. If somehow that argument got in the way of our friendship, one of us is going to have to set down our pride and say, you know what, you're right. Let's just drop it and legitimately never have this conversation again, because it will bring nothing but just more arguments when it doesn't need to happen.
I mean, if you care about the friendship, sure.
Yes, exactly.
And that's where you have to kind of like make that distinction, because some people in their relationships, you know, feel like I don't need that relationship in my life. You know, and this person's causing me pain. I'm gonna even if they apologize to me a million times, it's not gonna make it better. I'm gonna cut them off. So, man, apologies are weird.
Apologies are very situation dependent.
Yeah.
There's not really a blanket we can throw over apologies and say, here's one side of the blanket if this is your situation, and here's the other side if this is your situation. If you fall somewhere in the middle, flip a coin and choose. Like, it's not a big blanket that we can just throw over the world and say, we fixed the apologies and now everyone is going to be good and forgive. They're very situation dependent.
Should we try and make up a phrase?
For the new I'm sorry?
Not for the new I'm sorry, because I'm sorry is still good for, you know, actual apologies. But, like, when you empathize with somebody, like, what should you say instead of I'm sorry? Because that doesn't do anything. Like, even if it's simple, I feel like me and you, because we're just so incredibly smart, even though we're not 16-year-olds.
Right. Our brains have since decreased in size.
Now we're a tiny little peanut brain. We're no longer 16-year-old. I feel like me and you can come up with a phrase to use in lieu of I'm sorry whenever you're trying to empathize with someone specifically. Because even I'm sorry is used other places too that we haven't even gotten to yet. But I feel like if we knock this one out and the world starts using this phrase instead, I feel like the world will be a better place and people will start to empathize more. What do you think?
I mean, we can certainly try. Again, even the phrases would be dependent on the situation.
Let's troubleshoot. Let's do it.
Okay.
All right. So you're getting that feeling. Let's do a little bit of role play.
How severe of a situation is this? Is this someone like just venting about like what if someone came to you and was like, I just found out that my grandpa died and I'm having a really bad day. Because your initial reaction is to say, oh, I'm sorry about that.
Let's use the venting example.
Okay.
So venting about something moderately serious.
Scale of 1 to 10. How serious are we talking?
6 to 7.
Okay.
Okay. So not 1 or 2, not like, you know, a roach died on my way to work or, you know.
Well, no one would be sorry about that, especially not you.
Not me. Nope. I would say, I'm not sorry.
Good riddance.
Good riddance. Okay. So I feel like we can start with I'm, right? Because we're talking about us.
Right.
And we're talking about trying to.
Should we be talking about us?
Well,
if
should it be a phrase, like a statement, or a question to them?
Again, that depends on situation. If you need to ask a question, as in, are you okay?
Yeah.
Do you need anything? Do you want ice cream? I think ice cream can fix a lot of these situations. I'm just saying.
It's true. Ice cream does fix a lot of stuff. If you haven't figured it out yet, I'm really tired. I literally got off work like 30 minutes ago, and I've been working since 5 a.m., so I'm a little bit sleepy.
Yeah, Jacob's had a hard day.
A little bit of a hard day. So I'm sorry if I sound silly.
But yeah, if they're venting to us, statement or question, maybe don't start with I'm. Maybe we shouldn't be making it about us.
What if we just tell them a joke?
You know, I think that'd be a pretty bad idea.
Yeah, probably. What about...
Because the joke might not be good, and they'll probably just get even more upset.
What if we just said...
that they don't have good friends.
What if we just said, I'm saying...
And then they come in, I just found out my grandfather died today. I'm saying. Bro, me too.
That makes me upsetty spaghetti. How about this? We use a little bit of psychology.
Okay.
Okay. So, unless the person is specifically in actual physical pain or like injured or damaged mentally, we can say, I'm glad you're okay. Right? So, even though we're already proclaiming to them that they're going to get through this no matter what, they're going to make it through because they've made it through other things before, right? And we're also showing empathy to that person and compassion and saying, hey, but without saying the words, I'm sorry. I'm glad you're okay. Now, if the person's like on a hospital bed, that might not be the best thing to say.
I mean, I think that might also come across as
somewhat elitist, maybe.
Maybe not elitist, but a little detached from the situation. Because if I'm venting to someone and nowhere in the conversation have they been, and has the situation happened where we say, "Are you okay?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm okay." If you just kind of they end venting and they're crying and you say, "I'm glad you're okay," they'll probably just look at you like, "Does it look like I'm okay right now? I don't want to hear that I'm okay. I'm not okay, and that's okay not to be okay. Just let me not be okay, just around you for a little bit." And that's where I think I want to land, is just letting people know that it's okay not to be okay.
Right. Because it is okay to not be okay. I agree.
That's where I'm going to land, is just to say that it's okay to not be okay.
It's okay to not be okay. I'm trying to like come up with a little catchphrase. Like, it's okay to not be okay. Blah 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 blah.
I just put a period.
You could, if you're not me.
All right. Well, then come up with the latter half of the sentence, Einstein.
Well, I'm trying. This is kind of on the spot, so I'm sorry.
This is a little it's bit okay boring. Not to be okay. Enter name of person that you're talking to. Period.
It's okay not to be okay. But I hope you have a great day.
Yeah, no, I hate that. I'm putting the period after okay.
No, I'm a little corny. I'm sorry. So, do you still have some of those screenshots from Reddit?
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you have? Well, before I get into it, do you have any situations from yourself where you've apologized, and whether you thought it was the right thing to do at the time, or maybe you have some situations where you regret apologizing, or maybe you don't regret it, but you look back on it and think, I really didn't need to do that?
Probably twice a day. I'm not joking. I apologize way too much, and I feel like at some point it doesn't seem to other people that it's sincere because I do it so much.
Right.
But a lot of times I am just sorry. I just don't know what else to say besides those two words, and that's why I think there should be other words, other phrases for it. I have a feeling that you don't apologize as much.
Not anymore. Again, this is something we kind of touched on in the Are We Too Nice? Where I took a while to work on myself and not just saying okay and yes to everything. When people are like, have you seen this movie? And I would just say yes, just so that we could have a situation where I wasn't the odd one out and they would like me. I also took a while to work on myself to not apologize when I didn't do anything. Like if somebody bumped into me and they weren't paying attention. Like if I was younger, that happened, I'd be like, oh, sorry about that. I got in your way. When really they just were not paying attention, and we were in each other's way from the start, and something happened. So it took me a while to work on myself to where that happened, to just kind of say nothing, because it's inconsequential, really, especially when they just kind of bump you shoulder to shoulder. Maybe you drop something every now and then.
Well, so like if it's inconsequential, then would apologizing be so bad, or is it made worse by apologizing, do you think?
Again, I think that goes back to something you said earlier when there's something you read, that when you apologize for something that's not your fault and people see you as weaker, or people see you as less of a person. I know I certainly felt like less of a person when I would apologize to people who were wronging me, whether it be just bumping into me or, in a more real situation. I would certainly I felt less of a person, and I didn't feel it felt wrong to apologize when I wasn't in the right, or excuse me, when I wasn't the one in the wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And I would apologize, I would think less of myself.
Right.
So it took me a while to just stop apologizing when it wasn't my fault, and I felt better about myself. Because when it's inconsequential, then neither party has to apologize, and we both...
They can just kiss instead.
No, we're not going to do that. But, just go on. We can both go on with our day without having anything looming over our head of, I feel like less of a person now because I apologize for something I didn't do. So it's inconsequential. I don't apologize. And neither does that person, and neither of us care.
Yeah.
Now, when it comes to more real things, that's another thing that took me a while to, stand up for myself, but still be able to see whatever point of view they were trying to bring to the table and bring it into a conversation more than just of a screaming match of opinions, and then one of us is forced to apologize.
Yeah.
So I think apologies can be avoided if you master an art of conversation and just hearing opinions and giving yours without judgment on either side.
Right.
Then apologies can be straight up avoided.
That's fair. I mean, outside of, physically causing someone harm, which
Yes.
not a lot of us do.
Outside of just straight up wronging a person with racism or harassment or that sort of nature. But when you're talking about more of a friend-to-friend basis, and you just, and things happen inside of friendships where maybe someone said something bad about you behind your back, or you annoyed them in some way you didn't know that you did,
Mm-hmm.
and they told their friend that they were annoyed with you that day. It's a very juvenile situation, but someone just said something behind your back. Just had the conversation of opinions afterwards. Maybe that person apologizes. Maybe you see their point of view, and you can say, you know what? Now that you say it the way that you've said it, I realize that maybe I did do something wrong and I didn't even know it. So I'm sorry.
Right.
But the conversation afterwards is the most important part, because either you're going to see their point of view and realize that maybe you were in the wrong, or they're going to see your point of view, or you're going to have the conversation that needs to happen for some sort of coalescence after the fact and some sort of bonding and reparation of the relationship. I think I was going to use the word reprimand, but I think that's the opposite of what I'm trying to say.
Mm-hmm. It is.
Yeah, a reparation of the situation.
For sure.
So, with that said, I've got just a couple of scenarios here that I pulled from Reddit for fun, just to see if
For funsies.
they should be apologizing or not. And I will say, I grazed them just to make sure none of them were like, don't talk about this outside of this Reddit post or whatever. Because some of these posts will start with, please don't use this outside of any other platforms.
Wow.
But the way I see this is if you haven't said that and you've put it on a Reddit post, it's on the internet. I'm just going to talk about it on the internet somewhere else.
Yeah.
So if you haven't straight up said in the post, I prefer for it to stay here, I'm going to talk about it.
Not sorry.
Maybe that's insensitive, but you put it on the internet.
Not me.
I didn't do it. What do I want to start with here? Okay. This is just the title. I feel like we can glean from it here without the full story. I got mad at my only friend for hanging out with people that used to bully me. Should I apologize and try and salvage our friendship? So my only friend was hanging out with people that used to bully me. Should I apologize and try and salvage the friendship?
No. No.
Definitely, I'm going to go with no.
Because he didn't do anything. His friend's just hanging out with other people. If the friend is... First of all, I wouldn't apologize. I would bring this up to the friend you want to salvage the relationship with.
Right.
If your friend is purposefully blocking you out and hanging out with those people in lieu of you, purposely blocking you and then going for those other people, pardon me, sorry, I would completely end a friendship. It's not worth salvaging. There are other people who will be your friend, I'm sure.
And it is difficult to take that route because, obviously it says my only friend is hanging out with people that used to bully me.
Yep.
That's a very difficult thing to look at and say, just end that friendship, find some other friends. Because I think this person said that they're 16.
Yeah, they're the most powerful human. Did he really say he was 16?
It says 16-year-old male.
Yeah. Dude, change my answer. Use your powers to get friends. Influence the world.
I hate you. We're having a real conversation here.
So
and I just happen to say that he's 16. You go, oh my goodness. He's the almighty.
It's full circle. It's so funny.
Yeah, I would definitely say
at least give your old buddy a chalk and say, hey man, those people used to mess around with me. You want to be friends or no?
Yeah, give the buddy a talk and maybe even give the people that used to bully you a talk, because maybe those people have changed as well.
That's true.
Maybe they would even apologize for the way that they treated you.
And then you have more friends.
And then you have even more friends.
Boom.
So that's another thing that we haven't really touched on, is that confronting people, going up to apologize to a person when you know that you're in the wrong, also takes decency out of you as a person, but it also takes courage out of you as a person.
Definitely does.
Because you have to go out and put yourself on the line, A, to say that you were wrong, and B, to face the possibly harsh words of the people you're trying to apologize to, because they might not accept your apology straight away. So you're facing quite a situation when you're apologizing to somebody.
You're vulnerable, 100%.
Exactly. So that being said, with the situation we've got here, it's going to take some balls. It's going to
some testicular
fortitude. That's right. That's what it's going to take out of you. Why is that a thing?
You a woman, you can't do it.
You know what? Women just shouldn't apologize. Women are always right. You know what? Let's end it there. Change the phrase from earlier. It's just women are always right.
Someone venting about their loss. Women are always right. Just be shopping. Oh man.
Okay. Let's see. I'll read the story for this one.
Cool.
With the headline, "Should I apologize for ghosting someone?" So this is why I think it needs context. Would it be weird to randomly apologize to someone I ghosted almost 7 years ago? I came across this person's name in my phone recently, and the memory started flooding back on how I completely ghosted the dude. We used to talk on the phone daily for hours and had a really good connection. For some reason, I completely cut him off one day. He didn't do anything wrong, and it was just me being immature and stupid. I'm embarrassed for how I handled things, as he did not deserve that. I know it really hurt him. I feel terrible reflecting back on it. I remember he had texted me specifically asking what had happened, and I was just someone who ignored him. All my other relationships left on good terms. This one really bugs me, though. I was only 21. I didn't realize how bad it was to just ghost someone. Is it worth apologizing for my immature actions in the past, or should I just let it be?
My question was going to be, are they 16? But
no, it was when she was 21 when it happened.
So I have some interesting context with this, because I have been apologized to specifically by someone who I wouldn't say wronged me, but they just kind of were being disrespectful towards me. And they did it months later. Like, it just so happened to be someone who I was acting with on stage. And they just like, you know what, I acted unprofessionally and it's been bugging me, and I'm really sorry. And as someone who thought about those actions for a long time, and it was someone I cared about, I was really, really touched that they apologized to me. And it's something that I would do too. If I rarely ever ghost people. That's just not my type of thing to do. I think people who ghost people are kind of jerks sometimes. But dude, when you get apologized to after you've been wronged, and it comes out of nowhere, and it comes after you think the statute of limitations is far beyond, it feels really good. So I think go for it.
Yeah, I think this touches on something we talked about earlier, which is apology should be for the person you're apologizing to, not for yourself. Obviously, she says that this is bugging her, and apologizing would certainly lift that burden off her chest. But I think what you said also brings up a good point, is that for this person that she ghosted, he would probably also feel pretty good if she came out of nowhere and said, look, I know I ghosted you, but like she said here, she's being truthful. You didn't do anything wrong. I was 21 and I don't know. I was feeling weird about myself. Maybe I was feeling insecure. I was feeling something. Nothing that you did made anything go wrong. So I just wanted to apologize and say that you didn't deserve the way that I just kind of cut everything off.
And some people will be like, "Oh, I forgot about that. It's fine." But at least they forgive you, and they forgive you.
Right. And I think in this scenario specifically, it kind of sounds like that really the only two options are going to be that she says sorry and he says something to the effect of, I'm really glad you said that. That makes me feel good. And now they both feel better. Or your scenario where she apologized and he says, I kind of forgot about that, but thanks anyway. And either way, she still feels better.
Yep.
In this scenario, I guess kind of the very vague way she's described the dude and herself, that I guess they seemed like they had a good thing going where it was. So maybe he was a nice dude. Mm-hmm. I don't see this apology. I don't see him reacting in a way that's like, yeah, I can't believe you did that.
Maybe he goes to her.
And he gets really mad or whatever.
Maybe he goes to her apology.
Maybe, but at least she knows that she reached out.
Yep, she did all she could.
So
yeah, apologize, girl.
I would go for it. I also have a similar situation where it had been a couple years, but it's only similar in the fact that a decent period of time had happened, but it was a period of time where I was the person in the wrong, and I had no idea. So when I was in middle school, I was in the band. I played clarinet, and I was first chair 7th and 8th grade year, and I was drum major my 8th grade year, and I was really good at clarinet, and I knew that, and I was proud of how good I was at clarinet, and some years later, sometime in high school, 10th grade ish, maybe beginning of 11th grade, my friend Elmira, who I guess I hadn't really talked to her since middle school. We didn't have that many classes together. But we had some class together, and she sat near me, and we kind of started talking more and more over the year and becoming at least closer acquaintances in the context of that class. And at some point, we were just having a conversation, and she said, "You know what? I really hated you in middle school." I was like, "Why?" I mean, I knew you. You sat right behind me when we played clarinet. She was, I don't know, the way the chairs were set up. It was like, first chair was at the front, and then down to like 8th chair was to my left, and then so 9th chair was right behind me. So the clarinet section was all together in a stack of 2 rows. So she was like right behind me, and she said, "I really hated you in middle school." I was like, "Why?" I mean, we didn't really talk that much. Like, I mean, I knew who you were. We talked a couple times, but I mean, I didn't even think we were close enough for you to even have hated feelings toward me. And she goes, "You were just so full of yourself when it came to clarinet and being in that band." I said, "Really?" I mean, I really didn't. I mean, I knew that I was good at the time, and like I was proud of the fact that I was good, and I tried to help some other people that were sitting behind me with
music,
some notes they weren't figuring out, or like, and just try and say, "This is how it's done." But I guess the way that I did it when I was at that age, 7th and 8th grade, came off as really
cocky,
know-it-all, cocky, and prideful. And I didn't know that until she told me whatever that is 4 years later, 3-4 years later. Yeah. And she said, I couldn't stand you. You were so full of yourself. You just thought you knew better when it came to clarinet. You just thought you knew all. And so at that point I was like, I really, honestly, truly, I'm sorry. I didn't know until now that you've just told me. I thought I was really just like the rest of you, like any other 7th and 8th grader. I was just kind of there.
You weren't 16 yet, but
I didn't have my ultimate power. I think when this apology was happening, I was 16 though, which is why I think she forgave me so easily, because all the power resonating through me that you say exists.
Exactly. It all makes sense now.
Yeah. But I mean, that statute of limitations, it was something that she brought up that I needed to apologize for.
Right.
Which, I mean, of course,
and
I
you
did.
were completely unaware of it.
Completely unaware of it, but totally willing to apologize.
Let me ask you something. As I yawn for the 18th billionth time again, I'm tired. You know what? I'm not going to apologize for being tired. I'm just sleepy.
Those are the same.
Well, I'm saying I'm not going to apologize for being tired.
I'm just going to be tired.
I'm just going to be tired.
All right. Now hit me. You have a question?
Let's say, I'm not sure if you've ever had one of these stories before.
Okay.
But you do something deviant to your siblings or to your parents' prized possession. You knock over a vase. And somehow your sibling gets the blame for it. And you know you did wrong. Maybe your sibling doesn't know that you did it, but they get the blame for it. They get punished. And you know. But your parents don't. Should you apologize for that years later? Yay or nay?
I mean, I'm not going to say it depends. I'm going to say you probably should have apologized pretty soon after it happened. But if you don't...
I think everybody has that thing.
Yes. I mean, if you don't, just tell the story years later.
Yeah.
You really, at that point, you were kids, and the punishment that they served was inconsequential to the life that they live now. Just tell the story because it's funny. I remember one time we have this big green dresser in my room, and for some reason I wrote my mom's name on it in cursive, her first, middle, and last name for whatever reason. And she saw it and got really mad that someone had written on this dresser, and I blamed Aaron. And she was like, "Aaron, you're grounded for a week." And I was like, "Haha, idiot." And so I got grounded for a week. I don't know if I've even ever brought that up again. I think I've brought that up to my mom. Because we were riding in the car, I'd be like, I wrote on cursive on this dresser one time, and I told you it was Aaron, you grounded him, and she was like, "I don't remember that at all."
Yeah, isn't it funny how like we're like little delinquents and we just lie to our parents and they do things based on our lies, and then we just tell them years later and they're like, "I don't know that all."
I think a lot of parents just assume that their kids are going to be bad liars. So when they try to blame other people, they can just be like, "No, it was definitely you. You're a bad liar." Aaron's a terrible liar. He can't lie worth anything. The second he even tries to say something that is false, he kind of smiles and kind of cracks a little bit. He just can't lie.
I know Aaron.
So yeah, I mean, I guess I was a decent liar when I was a kid. I do remember being a good actor when I was a kid as well, because I was really good at fake sleeping. My mom would come in all the time, and I would fake sleep. And I don't even think I could do it now. But back then, she would come in and like shake me like, Kyle, you awake? And I would literally like, I was so focused, my facial expression wouldn't change, and I was completely asleep. And she would believe that I was asleep, or at least she decided to let me believe that she believed that I was asleep. Mm. But now if I was trying to fake sleep and someone came and shook me, I would immediately crack a smile. But I was good at it when I was a kid. I think I was just a good liar when I was a kid. So I guess it's good that has been taken out of me now that I've grown older. I don't want to be a good liar. I'd rather be bad at lying so that I can't do it. But
Selena Gomez.
What are you talking about?
Bad Liars, a song by Selena Gomez.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, you know the song. You actually didn't like the song very much.
I really don't. I don't know this song.
I'm sure I've showed you it, and then you were like, "I don't think it's a good song."
I know Bad Liar, Imagine Dragons.
Let's
Because I'm a bad liar. I know that song. That's a good song.
It's not that song.
All right. Well, I'm gonna move on to a different story here to see whether the person should apologize. And Jacob's gonna play a song apparently. So far, I'm bored.
Yeah, it's a really not a good song.
Then why are we playing it? Oh, this is that song?
Yes.
I never knew the words because she just whispers the whole time. I can't understand her. All right, yeah, I don't really like that song. You can turn it off now since it's a bad song and nobody else listening wants to hear it either. Stop bouncing to it. It's a bad song. Jacob, we're recording a podcast. Turn the song off.
I have to get to this part where she's a bad liar.
No, you don't.
So you
Turn the song.
me.
I'm literally going to cut all this out anyway because we're listening to a song for 45 seconds. Jesus. All right, listen up.
You're genuinely mad.
I am. Listen up.
Stop being mad at me.
Shut up. I'm not going to apologize for being mad either. You were doing a stupid
Well,
thing.
I'm
and
not
you
going
need
to
to own up
apologize
to
for
your
being
stupid
stupid.
thing.
No, I'm not going to apologize for being stupid.
All right, we're going to end it here, folks. Thanks so much for tuning in. I'm just kidding.
Episode 16.
Let's see. Okay, here we go. My girlfriend and I had a text fight the other day over something I thought was kind of minor. She thought it was a big deal and asked for space to think about us. I apologized and said okay via text, wanting to not continue to draw out the fight. She called me about 24 hours later to talk about it. I made the mistake of trying to explain my POV and that texting can be clunky instead of just listening to what she had to say, and ultimately exacerbated the situation. She reiterated that she wanted to be alone. I mistakenly took this that she was breaking up with me right there rather than just asking for space. Not, let's see, talking about in circles that she wanted to be alone for 10 minutes. We were talking in circles. In hindsight, I sound like a broken record. She said she would just leave it there and she'd reach out to me if she wanted to talk, and that I could if anything extreme needed to be happening. I was planning on just being silent, but I also hate that she's just contemplating us and that maybe her last memory will be of me irrationally arguing with her. Should I send a text saying, I apologize for how I acted, totally get where you're coming from, and just let me know whenever you want to talk, or should I just stay silent? Yeah, that's the situation.
These folks are definitely 16.
These folks, they didn't actually say how old they are.
They're definitely 16. I can
They're
tell.
probably somewhere around there. But they use the word exacerbated.
Yeah, I think he was trying to use that word to make it seem like he was 17, but he's 16.
And reiterated. These are some big words.
You knew what exacerbated meant when you were 16.
Yeah, but I'm a special breed. Okay. Here's the thing.
Tell me the thing.
I'm going to say a couple things here. At some point, he says,
Hey, Kyle, can I make a suggestion?
Uh-huh.
Can you say a couple of things?
I'm going to do that. Yeah, that's a great thing to suggest. At some point, he says, I made the mistake of trying to explain my POV, that texting can be clunky instead of just listening to what she had to say. Okay, couple things. A, explaining your point of view is not a mistake. I'm going to say that. I think both of you should be able to say what your points of view were so that you can understand each other and maybe one of you can come to a realization about the other's point of view.
Fair.
I don't think giving your point of view is a mistake. More importantly, point B, stop doing this over text. Don't have an argument.
Write a letter.
If she really thought that, actually at the end here, he says about apologizing. He says, I can also write a letter or something, but she may not take well to me shoving a letter in her mailbox after I said I'd give her space to think.
No, no, don't do that.
Anyway.
He's definitely 16.
He thought that this was a minor situation and she thought this was a bigger deal.
Bigger deal.
I'm going to say a couple things. A,
oh man. I'm so glad you're going to say a couple of things.
Why does one person, I don't really understand how he thinks it's a minor and someone else thinks it's a huge situation. So huge that she needed space to think about them, other than the fact that they're teenagers and they over-exacerbate everything.
Well, I think that's just it. He may have done something really stupid, and he's like, "Oh, it's just a mistake I made," and then, or he forgot their anniversary or whatever, and then maybe it's her first relationship, so she's like, "I need to think.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen it on TV before, so I need to think."
Yeah, I mean, if it's a big situation, just don't have the fight over text. At least call the other person, or talk to them in person, FaceTime them or something. Don't have big arguments over text. That's advice. I don't know how many things I've said already, but don't have arguments over text. That's just a stupid thing to do. If you're going to start fighting about something, just get on the phone.
Yeah.
But even people our age and younger than us have so much anxiety with being on the phone, even with people that they do know. It's so weird.
Do it like hanging from monkey bars.
Right, yeah. Both of you should hang from monkey bars upside down, of course, so that all the blood is going to your brain and you can both think super clearly while you're having the argument.
Argue. And then the first person who falls from the monkey bars loses the argument.
That should be what happened. That should be how we solve world wars. Is that the leaders of the country should hang upside down from monkey bars.
Yeah. Ooh. I'm trying to pop my knuckle. Ooh.
Yeah. So, I mean, she says she wants time to think.
Go to the playground because you're 16. You know you're 16. Hang from monkey bars, like by your feet, upside down. Argue, And whenever someone falls, that person loses the argument. That's our answer to you.
Mm-hmm.
Now go.
Okay, this is an interesting one to me.
Oh, thank goodness.
It's pretty short. It's really interesting to me, though.
Cool. How far are we? How long have we been recording?
A little over an hour.
Cool. Let's make this the last one.
Okay.
I get going soon.
Okay, yeah. This is a good one to end on, I think.
Cool.
It's short. A white man.
Kyle, is it short?
I love how you stopped me after I said a white man.
Because you said it was short twice, so I'm just wondering, is it short?
Jacob, it's okay to say things twice. You don't have to draw attention to it every time I say something twice.
Well, I like to.
A white man, was saying bye to a black friend of mine, but I said bye to him in an African-American accent. I don't know why I did it. I felt immediate regret after, but the only thing was, he didn't hear me. He was looking the other way. It happened about a month and a half ago. Should I reach out and apologize, or should I not apologize since he never heard me in the first place and wasn't affected?
You know what I was thinking this whole time you were reading it?
What's that?
This is an interesting one to me.
Good. I'm glad you think so. I also think so, as I have said already. Now answer things. Should he apologize? What do you think?
Probably not. Especially if he didn't hear it. It's like, who cares? I'm sure the friend probably doesn't care that he said it to in an African-American accent. And if he did, he would have probably addressed it right there.
That's the whole point. He didn't hear it.
So if he did hear it, the black friend would have addressed it right there, probably. What do you say it for? He probably would have said that.
Maybe, but that's the point. Since he didn't hear him, should he bring attention to it?
No, he shouldn't.
I disagree.
Of course you do.
We've agreed on all these, Jacob.
But no,
Jesus.
I think he shouldn't, because imagine having that conversation. Let's just say with LJ, right?
Okay.
We're having game night. LJ's departing. Bye, LJ. Bye, LJ. You know, all right, play. I'll see you later. And then LJ doesn't hear it. And then a day later, you're like, oh, man, I probably should apologize to LJ. And then you purposefully, you're following your rule. You don't do it over text. So you meet LJ in person. LJ thinks like he's in trouble or some shit. And LJ, you didn't hear me say it, but I said goodbye to you in a derogatory African-American accent. And I just wanted to apologize for that. Imagine how that conversation would go. If he, like I said, if LJ would turn around and was like, what? And you said, I'm sorry, that would be adequate and that would make sense. But if he didn't hear it, bringing that up anytime after 4 minutes from that initial conversation doesn't make any sense to me. Do you see my point of view?
Yes, but again, I don't know the nature of this friendship that's happened. So
if you're close homies, then it's not going to matter at all.
Right, it's not going to matter at all. But in the context of this situation, I've met LJ twice.
Yeah,
so we're not close homies, right?
Yeah.
It depends on who this white man is as a person, and what the nature of their friendship is. Because maybe he's even learning some stuff about himself, and maybe he's realized that he's been a part of this systemic racism without even knowing it.
Sure.
And maybe he would think that it'd be good to have that conversation with his friend and even ask, would this have mattered to you? I apologize if it would have, but maybe it'd be important for this person to have the conversation.
So this is
and make a learning opportunity.
That's a good point. I can agree with that. This is what I would do if I was trying to actually just garner some knowledge about that. Like if that's in the back of his mind, I would bring up a hypothetical instead of apologizing for it.
Now, theoretically, say you left my party Friday night, and instead of you not hearing me, you heard me, and when you heard me, I said, "See you later, player."
All right, player. All right, I'll vote with you. All right. Like if you said that to
just theoretically, if I had said that, how would you feel?
How would you feel?
Scale of 1 to 10, 10 being not good and 1 being pretty okay.
Yeah, that's what I would do.
Yeah,
and I'm sure that he would laugh. That'd be funny to most people. There are people who'd be offended by that, of course.
Right.
And that's not good. So we shouldn't offend people.
Yeah. So I mean, if the person had heard him at the time, it would have been the learning opportunity right there.
Yeah.
But I think even after the fact, specifically because it's bugging him. if he was just kind of thinking,
Like,
maybe this could have been
I think
bad.
he's
Should I apologize?
I think he's overthinking it, is my point. Especially if he knows he did not hear him, it's so inconsequential at that point. Like even in that, and that's coming from me, the king of inconsequential problems.
I don't think it's inconsequential because he knows that maybe he could accidentally slip up again in the future, and maybe he doesn't know if that would in fact make this person upset with him. So if he learns up front without accidentally making the mistake later again, then he'll be safe from here on out.
Well, then the hypothetical thing still works.
Exactly. So I think bringing attention to the situation in this context is important.
Yeah.
Maybe the apology won't be necessary, but bringing up the hypothetical might be. But, that I'm sure the friend you're bringing the hypothetical to is probably going to be a little suspicious of why you're bringing this hypothetical up. But I would at least bring attention to the situation for the sake of your own learning, for the sake of knowledge.
Guys, I've got to apologize.
Why is that, Jacob?
I've not been 100% truthful with you guys.
I knew it.
The 16-year-old bit, it's not real.
I knew it. I almost started to believe you too.
I fooled you. I used my Joker's trick.
Sorry, I hear Joker, and I did a Joker's revenge.
Joker's revenge. I never ruled the world, and if you're 16, you definitely don't rule the world.
You will literally never rule the world.
And your brain's probably a little bit smaller than me and Kyle's.
Way smaller, matter of fact. Just unbelievably smaller. You think you know everything. I promise you know nothing. Jon Snow.
I'm sorry for lying to you about 16-year-olds.
That's a warranted apology. I accept your apology.
Kyle, thank you for accepting my apology. If you want to accept my apology, watch this episode and the next episode of Milking Screams, and we'll consider it all squared away.
Yeah. We'll consider once you've listened to all the episodes that we have out and will have out in the future, we'll consider it square.
We'll consider it square. Thank you guys for listening to another episode of Milking Screams.
Milking Screams, baby. Adios, muchachos.